I just had to capture this moment preparing for a Zoom call, and the sun has appeared here in my camper van just above between my head and this back window. Wow, that's so cool. It's like my crown chakra is just lit up. Wow. I can hold the sun in my hands. Um, I could play with this all day. Okay.
Hey, John, are
Hello,
you ready to
hello.
fire me already?
No, it's all it's divine timing. Watch this a second, if I can show you.
Oh my God, look
Yeah.
at that. Woo! Oh, I love it. I'm not surprised at all. I bet that's all like that all the time with you.
Wow. Yeah. It's my halo. It just follows me around everywhere.
It is. Yeah,
Um,
mine gets too tight sometimes, squeezes my brain.
I
And
couldn't
was I
believe it. And
screwed up
it's
on the time? I'm so sorry. I saw 19 and then you say hours difference, and I was thinking it was one, my time.
oh, it's no problem at all. I don't know if I miscommunicated either. I really don't know.
It's
I do know.
good. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
normally early. I'm not one who runs late. So I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm like rocking out to your songs, taking a shower, going, let's get some of Jon
Yay.
Binnie on. And then you keep going, hey, lady, lady,
Hello.
hello,
It's
is this thing
so
on?
it's so yeah. It's so amazing to meet you.
Oh God, you have no
And
idea how much
such
this
an
means to me.
thank you. I I've been watching you. This sounds creepy, but I haven't. I've been watching your two. You sent me three videos to watch. I made it through two.
Oh, cool.
Um, the first one with Terry, and then the second one, all about crystals. And I am just like just like blown away. Like you are just an oracle and font of knowledge. It's incredible.
Well, thank you. I don't know. It's been a lifelong journey, but here I am, and the spirit has put me in these positions to learn these things, and I didn't know why at the time. And now it's all coming together. And I used to be so depressed because there was no one to share it with. No one understood this. No one wanted to hear it. And this just means so much to me. And to have found you through, when you were on with Sun Psychic Jean, that day changed my life when I met you. I want you to know.
Oh,
So I mean that sincerely. And yeah, so this just I feel like I've always known you, and I'm sure you hear that from a lot of your peeps.
yeah, likewise.
Yeah, thanks.
Um,
And
yeah,
thanks for watching
I'd
my
love to
videos. I
ask.
know you have a lot to do, but thanks for taking time.
Oh, it's absolute pleasure. We always make time, right? We create it for the things that we need to receive.
Most
So
definitely.
thank you. Yeah, I'd love to learn a little bit about you. Perhaps you could introduce yourself and a little bit of the background to your spiritual journey.
Okay. And can I show you something first? That I made this
Of
for you
course you
after
can,
I
yeah.
met you with Jean, and I just
Oh,
haven't had the money to send it to you to Scotland yet. So one of these days it'll show up. And but I know I've told you about this, but I haven't been able to get it in the post yet. So this is a mandala I made for you.
wow. Oh,
It's
it's
all crochet.
beautiful.
Yeah. And
Oh,
every
it's
stitch is a
incredible.
prayer for you. So it's all the different colors and
Oh,
yeah,
that's so kind. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Wow.
My pleasure. Well, it's like it's the ripples in the pond. You radiate out all those beautiful colors and those beautiful musical tones. And it's a
Oh,
small token of my appreciation. So one of these moons, it'll get off to you.
thank you. That's so kind. Um, but yeah, I and it is really, really kind. I just want to say thank you for like you clearly put a lot of effort into that, and it's really, really beautiful. And as soon as you showed it to me, it's like that's going on my wall in my studio. Like I'll be looking at that in
Oh,
my studio is like my safe space for
yeah,
everything from music to meditation to my client sessions. And yeah, I feel like it's a place to honor other people's work as well. So
nice.
all in divine timing. And perhaps it's getting ready to for me to tidy up my studio. It's been about a year since it was built, and it's ready
I
for
remember.
a reboot. And so perhaps it's just waiting for the right time to come in and find the space. So yeah,
Oh,
all
yeah.
just like this guy, all in
There you
divine
go.
timing.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just get really nice push pins and that's how I put mine to the wall. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
just an easy way. You can get decorative ones with hearts or whatever you want on them. So that's how I put them
Yeah,
up when I just stick them to the wall. So, and it's made out of cotton, so
fantastic.
you can hand wash it, if you ever needed to, but I don't know
Oh,
that you would.
lovely.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Spirit sent me on this journey when I moved, the height of, the pandemic and lockdown and stuff, and I was forced to move an hour away, don't know anybody, and it was a really traumatic move. And I got here, and Spirit says, "Okay, you're going to start making these great big mandalas. Get busy, and you're going to be infusing them with information and knowledge and secrets and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay." And this was 4 years ago when I wasn't where I am now. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, so I just got my hands busy. And I think I've done about 40 of them now and some, like the biggest one, I think is
Wow.
50 inches across. And they take months, some of them when they get really big, but they create portals. When
Mhm.
I put them on the wall or give them to people, they tell me that it feels like there's a portal created, a good portal, but so I don't know. And then
Wow,
I was
infused with all your intention and your whatever else you choose to encode with it, right?
Well, there's like I just channel my art. I know it's not me. It's just my hands doing the work. And a few
Mhm.
months ago, I happened to be watching a magician who was doing, whatever his trick was, and it involved a ball of string, blah, blah, blah. Well, he said that they used to call a ball of yarn or string a clue, CLEW. Well, these are all
Mhm.
made out of clues,
Ah.
clues, and it's related to the word clue, like CLUE.
Oh well.
So that was like a big aha moment for me that, oh, I was putting clues in there,
Yeah.
so spirit works in very interesting ways, as you know.
Yes, absolutely. It is a very magical universe.
It is.
It's part of the fun, right?
It is. You never know what's going to show up. And, when you start being open to the receiving the messages and the validations and the clues, they just rush in and they're undeniable.
Hmm.
And that's what's built my confidence is having those validations come through. So I
Fabulous.
know that you
And
activated a lot of that in me when I met you the first time I think it was like 3 years ago. I don't think it was 4 years, maybe 3 or 4 years ago with
yeah,
Juno.
about I I should have done my background
Yeah.
research, but yeah, I think it was around the three. I'm guessing around the 3 year time frame. Um, it makes sense with my journey. Um, and I want to ask a bit about that, but before I do, yeah, I was intrigued about so when you started this work doing the mandalas, like what 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 instigated it? Like what was your experience with being guided to start that journey?
Well, I mean, I've been crocheting since I was 5 years old, doing embroidery, beadwork, crochet, knitting, sewing, pretty much my whole life. But in the last, like a couple of years before the pandemic started, I started making smaller mandalas. And
Hmm.
through the I have received literally truckloads of artwork of like yarns and threads and all kinds of art supplies from three different people, whole truckloads. When someone passed away, they cleaned out, their art stash and they gave
Oh,
it to me. So I ended up with this large stash of all these beautiful threads
oh,
and I already had some and I deal with a health condition that causes a lot of pain and fatigue. And so after moving, all I could do is just sit in bed, and I'm not one that can just sit and do nothing. So it was just kind of like I don't know, when you receive these messages, how do you describe them? It's just that knowing of, okay, get going. And I thought, well, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. So I won't tell anybody that Spirit told me to do this. I'll just start making these and see what happens. And then
Yeah,
I started giving them as gifts to, some of the different people in the YouTube community. And then it just has taken off from there. And I remember one time, and you know how we have our Brady Bunch squares, when we're on there, you have several people on. And
yeah.
just happened that all the people that I was together with all had received one of my mandalas, and they just spontaneously all held them up at the same time, and it was just this
Wow.
rush of wow. It was it's they do something. Look, and the light came through.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Boom.
Yeah, it's like that. So and I can crochet with my eyes closed, actually. I've had a friend tell me that when we went on a trip together one time and stayed in a hotel room, she said, "You crochet in your sleep. My hands are going in my sleep."
Oh
So
wow.
I wish there was an actual product from that, but there isn't. It's
Yeah.
uh I don't I it's an indescribable thing to express, but it's almost like a buildup, like a friction or a tension, like, okay, I have to express this. I have to
Mhm.
I have to get my hands busy. I have to get the colors going. And I think I have threads in over 500 different colors. So just sorting those and organizing those, that's its own meditation, because there's a lot of winding that goes on ahead of time to get them in a state where I can easily work with them, in a
Yeah.
flowing manner. So it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm just really thankful that I have hands that will keep going, that can keep up with
Yeah.
what Spirit's having me do, So
It's it's a
and
big
they bring
important
me a lot
mission.
of joy.
Oh, that's lovely. And I love I mean I love all that. I love all your journey. And I love the magic in it. Like I love how you're intrigued by this kind of infinite, unexplainable, mysterious universe that's always often pulling us in new directions, unexpected directions. And I love the way you described it. Like there's this constant, like I think you said pull, right? That you're being pulled to
Yeah,
to do something.
yeah,
As because when you're not used to being guided or asking for guidance, um, or I had a recent experience where I'm used to being guided and I do ask every day for guidance, but sometimes I'm not listening enough or too stubborn and I get a repeated message. And
yeah.
I had, so for example, I do clinical reflexology now, and the I had this kind of idea, this inspiration. It's like maybe I could like combine a service, maybe I could combine some of my
Right.
quantum healing or the psychic readings with clinical reflexology. And then I had this kind of fear, which was, well, it was the kind of past life torches and pitchforks and being chased out of the village, or you
I
know,
know that one.
yeah,
Been there,
all
done that.
those all those past lives, and so I thought, well, I don't really know. I'm not so sure. And then I remember I went to sleep that night, and the early hours of the morning, I woke up. It's just like, Jon, you must create this
Yeah,
service. Like, you must go into your website and just create the service, Jon.
right.
And you don't need to advertise it, just create it. And I was like, yeah, but it's quite a lot of work to create
Yeah,
one. Yeah. And eventually I added it. I thought, well, it isn't a dream. I will add it to my to-do list. And then I had two clients say to me after their treatments, because they would share with me their magical experiences, and then I would
right.
a little bit reluctantly share what I experienced, because I didn't book like a psychic session with them. I just booked a foot massage, right?
Right,
And
right,
of
exactly.
course, nothing's as simple as that. But I just
No,
wanted to like be clear on consent and the scope of the session. But yeah, they both said to me like, you should maybe combine, like have a separate service, so when people come to you, they could choose what they want. And
exactly,
they're choosing their boundaries of both consent and then also what they'd like to give and receive. And
exactly.
yeah, I think I have to like about those three attempts of like, Jon, do the thing, and it's like, okay, okay, I'll do the thing. So I've done it. But yeah, I love that in what you described also reminds me of like my first uh, process of creating songs as well. Like I I didn't really want to tell people. I was reluctant to have to tell people that I'd started meditating each day, that I'd
Right.
heard of spirit guides and wanted to talk to them each day, and then I took their messages and made them into songs. And
Yeah.
sometimes I still get a little bit of imposter syndrome, like where do
Yes.
those songs really come from? where
Yeah.
where do they continue to be inspired from?
And it's a never ending source. It just keeps flowing and flowing. And I
That's
mean,
right.
I literally am not able to keep up with all the downloads that they bring me. And, I have a phrase of saying, they have a pointy toed cowboy boot right up my butt. Let's get busy.
Yeah.
Get busy, woman. I'm like, please, I need to sleep once in a while. And then the latest one was creating that new series that I was hoping to have it ready before today, but it, didn't happen, even though I've been working on it since Saturday to talk about the mythology of the different crystals and get into the history and that part. And I started with amethyst, and I found information on how they used it in Lemuria and Atlantis,
Oh,
beyond what
wow.
we're seeing. And like none of my information comes off the internet. It's all from my library of books that I've accumulated all over the years. But uh, I'm really, really excited about bringing the knowledge, the old knowledge forward again. And it's just been such an
Well,
amazing journey that a friend of mine, well, my Jinshin Jitsu mentor, Jinshin Jitsu is a Japanese healing art that saved my life literally, and it has saved lives of other people that I know. And I also uh, work with pets and people. And she called me up, and I lived out just outside of Tucson, and she lived in Tucson. And she calls me, and she goes, "You know about crystal?" She says, "You want to come and work at the gem show, the Tucson Gem Show?" I'm like, do I want to? I'll do it for free. Well, not quite, but you feel like
yeah.
just to be there, because over half of all the gems and beads in the world are here for the gem show.
Wow.
So it's just incredible, and it's all over the whole city. It isn't just one location. It's just
Mhm.
hotels and all kinds of places, indoor, outdoor. So it's just a whole different idea to take it in, even though, I mean, since I was 5 years old, I've been studying. And I would weigh more when I came home than when I left, because my pockets were full of rocks that I picked up out walking around. I don't know if I have it here. I have, when I was 10 years old, we used to go camping. I'm from Western New York State, near Buffalo, New York. And my dad had property up north of Toronto. It's near North Bay. So it's like 8 hours from where I grew up. But that's where we spent our summers. And there was another man that lived on the lake, and he was either the president of the Bank of Toronto or some high level. And he gifted me a whole, like the prospectors samples of all these different minerals in Canada when I was 10 years old. And I
Mm.
still have that today. And I've probably moved
Oh,
easily
wow.
60 times in my life, but that I still have that with me. So I've been collecting rocks, and even the ones in my head, for a long time, but
That's fabulous. Um, when I was watching your the crystals videos, I'd call it. I can't remember the title. Forgive me. Um, and you're sharing so much knowledge. I realized that, or it reminded me that I have had a lot of friction towards reading or being often being taught by others, and it in fact, it took me until like I really didn't want anyone to tell me anything. I wanted to like do it all the hard way,
yeah,
the slow and
you had
hard way, and learn it
resistance,
all
huh?
myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, resistance.
yeah.
That's right. And only recently, like in from about September last year, did I even start doing things like learning how. I went on a course for mindfulness teaching, and I went on the reflexology
Mhm.
course, and they were I felt it really helped me start to open up to at least receiving
Mhm.
and seeing that you can work with others, even if it's what I'm whether I'm judging something as being traditional knowledge or not. It is
Right.
external to me, and that when I work with others, uh, it can help accelerate or broaden my like I don't know how long it would have taken me to rediscover reflexology. Like that would
Right,
have taken quite some time and
right.
probably a lot of effort. And did I ever really need to? Um, and I was interested in you mentioned near the start about your the kind of the the lone wolf aspect, like that part of your journey where you certainly felt alone. Could you expand a bit about the circumstance and the feeling as well?
Well, I would say I've always been a loner. That's just kind of been my path. I never quite fit in with the kids in school or college or family. I'm just kind of you know, an odd duck. And so then you get to the point where you stop trying to fit in and realize maybe that's not your path. And that's not saying it's good or bad. It's some people are meant to have this giant family and all this, whether that's blood family or whatever around them and have that kind of support. And
Hmm.
through health reasons and different things, I'm hypersensitive to everything in the environment, taste, smells, medications, too much sun, not enough sun. Oh, it's too windy. What's the temperature? I'm a hothouse orchid. What can I say? And it's
Yeah.
not by choice. It's just been my journey. But I've come to realize now in the last 4 years that there's a reason for it. And like someone who's working in say a job on Wall Street is probably not going to be a meditation instructor or, I'm not saying they're not spiritual, but if you're
Hmm.
always in that environment, it's really hard to shift in and out of it. So I've learned to embrace, I was diagnosed with well, I came, how do you, I don't want to own it. You know what I mean? I don't want to say I have.
Hmm.
I contracted mononucleosis when I was 3, and it morphed into fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, but nobody understood that. And it was just, you're
Okay.
faking
Yeah.
it. Oh, grow up, get over it, whatever, suck it up, buttercup,
Oh,
put your big girl panties on. It's like, yeah, well,
it's
it's
tough.
really hard when you don't even know why doctors won't, nobody would validate it. And I did not get
Hmm.
diagnosed until I was 40, but I've been dealing with it since I was 3.
Wow.
And I also, when
Yeah.
I was maybe like 8 years old or so, I came down with something called parvo, or not parvovirus, fifth disease, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth disease, but it is a form of
Hmm.
parvovirus. So that was another attack on my immune system. And it was through that, once I got diagnosed at 40, then they could send me to a doctor, there was more understanding. So they
Hmm.
sent me to a pain management doctor that I worked with for 2 years straight and had, chiropractic, shots in my back, all the medications you can imagine, all this stuff. And it just made me worse. It didn't
Oh
break the
dear.
pain cycle. So the
Hmm.
doctor said after 2 years, she goes, that's my bag of tricks. I don't know what else. So I'm
Yeah.
going to refer you to another doctor that does this energy work. She goes, I can't even pronounce it, but it might be beneficial. Some people have good
Yeah.
results. And so that was when I learned about Jin Shin Jitsu. And it
Oh
was like
wow.
somebody put Humpty Dumpty back together again because it
Yeah.
helps you not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally.
Hmm.
And so there's even at least 1 or 2 hospitals in the States that have an entire wing devoted to Jin Shin Jitsu because they find it so helpful.
Wow.
It's like, to me, I'm also a Reiki master, but to me, Reiki is like the umbrella and Jin Shin
Hmm.
Jitsu is the specialist. It's like going to
Yeah.
spiritual, or like a uh, energy medicine medical school. You learn so much about the
Hmm.
body, and then the beauty of it is Mary Burmeister, who brought this from Japan to the United States. She then took the training that she learned and then she connected it to numerology, astrology, tarot, numbers, taste, smells, colors, days of the week, all this stuff.
Wow.
So that was such a, this lifelong condition that I've dealt with has been the biggest gift to me, and has
Hmm.
brought me in touch with just the most amazing people and opportunities. And you can do it on yourself. And, Mary, she studied under Jiro Murai in Japan for, I think it was like 15 years and only worked on herself before she ever laid hands on someone else. So it's
That's
so, but
incredible.
I love that there's so much self-help and it's as easy as holding
Yeah.
your fingers. It's just such a beautiful
Hmm.
thing. So, all these things are coming together, and it's also related to crystals and minerals and metals and things. So that's like it's like the weaver of all these different modalities and bringing them all together. So you learn to find blessings in the things that you can't do. And then I got really into tarot, and I've been doing it since like 30 years ago, but
Hmm.
I really got into it in the last 4 years. So now I call myself a termit. I'm a tarot hermit.
Yeah.
Not a termite, a termit.
Fantastic. Wow. Oh, that is incredible. Um, and like you were saying, like entire wings of hospitals dedicated to like these what we consider in the West like new
Yeah, but they're so old.
these
Yeah.
they're so old, yeah. These practices, I it reminds me of the hospice that I just finished a placement at for reflexology, and in they have two floors, and the upper floor was kind of shut down during COVID, and they couldn't get their staff levels back, and
Right.
instead of just bringing in more patients and more traditional medical staff, they
Right.
decided to create a complementary
Oh,
therapy
nice.
wing and
Nice.
or floor, and yeah, and so it's like massage, aromatherapy, Reiki, acupuncture, and yeah, reflexology, and that I found really liberating, like seeing, because I was putting on my scrubs,
Yeah.
next to a
Yeah.
doctor who was getting ready for, his shift, and would you 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 felt like finally there's places that are starting to realize that
Yeah.
there's a whole spectrum of and a universe of different healing modalities, and
Yes.
like at least we're not even sure when reflexology started, but it's in the the Egyptian hieroglyphs going
Hmm.
back thousands of years. We don't really know where it started or who quite invented it, but I love that they're also being reinvented. Like people learn how to, you know, bring them into new cultures, like Western cultures, and then also into um, and to broaden them out to different uh, aspects of our knowledge, like you're saying, like tarot and days of the week and numerology. Like it
Yeah.
is when you started saying that's like, do I have to like do that for the stuff I know? It's like, oh
Hang
wow,
on.
is that
Cowboy boot
yeah?
coming.
That's right. All I said was, a psychic reflexology session, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, it's like everything's all one anyway, and you're gonna have to like figure them all out. It's like it is really exciting, and I love
Yeah.
that.
It's
Um,
so fun. It's so fun. And just knowing you learn to know your body better, and there's 144,000 functions in the body, and each finger harmonizes 14,400 of those functions. Yeah, or
wow.
each toe. Your feet are the same,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
just jumper cables. This is not a faith-based. It doesn't
Yeah.
require a Reiki, like attunement for Reiki. Not saying that that's
Hmm.
good or bad. I'm just saying it's not based on any of that. And
Yeah.
when you see people who are totally non-believers, and you're just, jumper cabling like you would your car battery, and whatever, you know, was ailing them disappears, and they're just like, "Well, how did that happen?"
Yeah. How's
So
that possible? Yeah.
yeah, and you
And you're
go,
like,
I'm
ta-da!
not doing anything. I'm just a jumper cables. I don't put anything in. I
Yeah.
don't take anything out. I'm just there making the
I do love
connection
that.
from the conduit. And
Yeah, I had that with a reflexology client recently, and they said up front, they said, I was recommended to come to you. I don't believe in it. I
right,
just wanted to be honest with you, but I'm open-minded to the experience. And as a result, they didn't tell me everything. I mean, to be honest, most of us don't even really consciously
right,
acknowledge all the things that are going on in our body. So it doesn't really matter if it's intentional or not. And
right.
uh, and afterwards, I said, like they shared what they felt. They really enjoyed the experience. And I said, so let's talk about your back, your spine. And I said, you've got, one side on the upper shoulder, you've got like some pain, and then the tension goes across to lower down the shoulder blade on the other side, and then it
Hmm.
zigzags again, and it does that twice, and they're just stood there like with their
Yeah,
mouth hanging open, and they said, "How do you know all that just by touching my feet?" And I said, I said, it's, to be honest, it's not like you don't need psychic abilities to feel that difference
Right.
in your feet. It's very tangible. Like if I could, if I could take you to that point and get you to press it, you'd feel it physically too. And they said, well, you've just perfectly described the curvature of my spine. I have this
Wow.
my spine column zigzags up, and you've got it exactly right, the exact points of where it goes
Wow.
right to left. She said that is just incredible. And it's like, wow, it just in case we weren't sure, yeah, these things
Yeah.
really do work.
Yeah, it's amazing the validations. And even you can do it remotely, which is another beautiful thing. If you know of a person in need and you can get a group of people that everyone holds their thumb, you can help whatever it is. That's the leader of the parade. And babies suck their thumb. They're so wise. They know to harmonize.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
if you
It's so
see a
true.
baby, sometimes babies will suck on a different finger, and then you can look at and
Mm.
see whatever organ flow that's
What's
related to.
there?
And
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, so that
It's
shows a need.
the brain, right? The is it the brain on the lower side of the thumb? I don't remember the hand so
That's
well.
a we don't get talk about the brain in the part of Jin Shin Jitsu. I mean, that's another level of Jin Shin Jitsu. I have
Okay.
that information, you know what I mean? But we talk about like here's stomach and spleen is your thumb, kidney and
Hmm.
bladder is your index, liver and gallbladder is the middle finger, lung and large intestine is the ring finger, and heart and small intestine is your pinky finger. But there's
Okay.
the five attitudes that go along with that. And if you can harmonize, if you can, Mary would teach us, if you can stay out of attitudes, you're going to be a lot healthier. So the attitudes are
Mm.
worry, fear, anger. She said that's the only one you Americans got right. Middle finger.
That's right.
Sadness or grief in the ring finger, and then pretense or
Mhm.
trying to in the pinky finger, trying to be happy when you're sad or efforting. So you think of people with their pinky up, when they're drinking their cup of tea and all that. So
Yeah.
um, it's just an amazing thing that how much if you just sit and hold each finger every day and you don't remember, I don't know what she's talking about. What did this and what did that? It won't matter if you remember it. Just do it, and
Hmm.
your body will
Yeah.
know.
I
Um,
love that. Yeah, and even as simple as remembering your body, reconnecting with your body. Like it's like your
exactly.
body's constantly saying like hello.
Yeah.
Like when did you last check on my feet? Like right now, my feet are like, oh, I'm sat in lotus position and I haven't really moved for about 40 minutes. And they're
Yeah.
like, just move a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, and bringing our attention, especially to our fingers and toes, is really helpful because it, they're the, it's like choose the most forgotten part of your body and bring your attention to it. And it's like you also bring that energy, your consciousness to everything else in between. And just
Exactly.
like our pain and our shadows and our fear, like the awareness of it is like 99% of the challenge. We're kind of born fixers, right? Like the human race is like, I found a problem, I need to fix
Yeah.
it, and it's
Yeah.
like it's okay, just start by being aware of it.
Right.
Is a huge start.
Right.
Um, I'd love to ask you a bit more, and I'm gonna uh, pre uh, precursor this by saying that I don't really remember very well or at all. I do remember I did like what I would call a quantum healing for you, or I think I was calling it back then probably like a dark energy clearing
Hmm.
for you, and on a live stream. And I was interested in like that experience for you, if you'd like to share a bit more, whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Well, I know the first thing I did is I went out and I got myself a 432 singing bowl and a big
Oh
enough
wow.
one so that when I ring it, I stick my whole head in it because to get that experience is just phenomenal. So thank you for that. Um,
Um,
what I'm remembering is I felt set free after that meeting with you.
mhm.
It was just like a lightning and it just kind of washed over me, this sense of, okay, I can let go of whatever this pain is, and it may come back in layers, but there was some kind of a connection. And I can remember back then, I don't know if you remember, but I had sent you a photo of the first big mandala that I did, and it's pinned to my bedroom
Oh
wall.
yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you told me about, you saw that. You said you were on a spaceship and you looked out the window and you
Yes.
saw that mandala and you said it activated some of your gifts, which was like, what? And
Yeah.
that's when I knew there was, that was the key to when I knew, okay, there really is something to these mandalas.
Yeah.
And so you were part,
Wow.
you're part of me making these mandalas. It's not just a coinkydink, as they say. It was
I love that.
it and it gave me, it felt like it gave me purpose, that and
Mm.
permission to keep doing what I was doing. Yeah, I'm on the right path. And you also worked on me. This was maybe about a year ago, because I'm losing vision in my left eye with macular degeneration, and you helped with that. So it's not, I mean, it's still an issue, but um, I still draw upon that, and I'll replay that video when I think of it, to
Oh, lovely.
re-experience that healing, because sometimes, especially when it's something that's maybe more embedded or we've had it for a longer time, it takes longer. It might take a few sessions or however many uh,
Yeah.
to overcome. So I've had poor vision since I was little. Like one eye is 2400 and one is 2800. So just on the
Right.
visual acuity level is not good, but then you add the other issues, makes it even more difficult. But
Hmm.
I have to keep my vision so I can keep doing this work. So I keep asking spirit all the time, please heal this so that I can keep doing the work you want me to do. There's a whole dozen
Yeah.
cowboy boots parts. I got so much to do.
And yeah, and you said I can do them with my eyes closed. That's what you said. So
Yeah. Well,
that's
I used to do art
you
shows, and
might get
sometimes
tested.
I'm in the desert, so sometimes we did them at night, and I also knit, and I have
Wow.
knitting needles that have little lights in the tips, and I would sit
Hmm.
outside and it would be relatively dark. We had some lights, and I would have gloves on, and I could still knit with gloves on in the dark, and it would make sense. So it's,
That's
when
incredible.
you do millions and millions, you do something that many times over, it's just just comes to you. Spirit
That's so
just
cool.
directs your hands. So
Um, I wanted to, uh, I think this little fly or spider, I'm not sure what it is. Um, but yeah, I wanted to, well, first of all, thank you for your really kind words and reflections in it. And it means a lot to me hearing about, you don't, I don't always hear about what happens after people in their lives. And I know that when I've had, um, sessions from other people, whatever it is, like a reading or Reiki or like quantum hypnosis or whatever it is that I've asked for, uh, that almost without exception, they're life changing. And
it
sometimes the
is.
changes are small and sometimes they're epic. Um,
Yeah.
and I felt that back then when I first did uh, that live session for you, I was pretty new to, certainly that was one of the first. It might have even been the first or thereabouts. Like I
Oh,
think I did like
wow.
started like one session myself
Wow.
with a friend like on my channel, and then I started doing it. And like yeah, like some psychic gene just inspired me to help me get over the just get over the word psychic.
Yeah,
You know,
I
it's
know.
like
I know. We get so hung
we've all
up
got
on this.
those fears and triggers, yeah. And even and now I feel bad when I don't use those words. Something that when it's not the truth, or I'm hiding or dimming the light. Where's it gone? The sun's starting to fade a bit.
I don't think you can
Um,
dim that light, John.
so yeah, let's hope not. Um, and yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if whoever's watching this, like, to say that if you're thinking of like if you're being called to either receive something from someone or to give, even if it's a brand new gift, and I feel like many of us end up in a situation like me, which is like, okay, do it once, okay, now teach it,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Right.
go
Yeah. You're an
live,
expert now. You
go
did it
live on the
once.
internet. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're literally the expert. Like of
Yeah.
what? Like of
Yeah.
you. You're the expert of you. No one else can tell you how to be you, how to do the things you do your way. It's like, oh
Right.
yeah, that's true. Um, and and through those sessions, it also I guess it accelerated the some of the the challenges for me as well, which was that it's really risky work that, that I do, especially if I'm clearing negative entities. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a whole load of small battles, and some of those are big, and some of them
Right.
have, you know, take their toll on me, or like have I have to have like safe space around it. Um, so I think it taught me a lot more respect for and caution in the work, which is super healthy, right? Um, and oh, there was one more thing. Um, oh, the mandalas. So when yeah, in that, so I was describing, I think, a lucid dream where I get a bit confused about whether it was a meditation or a dream because it's
Yeah.
happened a few times and it's also
Yeah.
come up in both dreams and meditations. But the I was out in a small kind of space shuttle next
Hmm.
to the Galactic Federation ship Athena, which I spend most of my dream time visiting and going off and doing missions.
Yeah.
And they did they like everyone was like everyone on the ship were up at the windows like
Yeah.
looking out at me, and I was
Yeah.
right next to the ship in this little shuttle, and I'm like, oh, why am I here and why are they all looking at me?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Right.
then from the universe, I find this really fascinating, is there's like this I don't believe the Mandela was called, or was summoned. It's like a it's like a kind of an activation that has a rite of passage. It just happens at a
Hmm.
specific time and frequency for me.
Hmm.
And but others knew that it was coming for me, and it was almost like I say coming for me in that it was like within me, and it was about to happen. Just like when you know the butterfly is about to come out the chrysalis, like you get a sense there's some wriggling around and something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And when that Mandela like turned up, it was um, there was also this aspect of it was incredibly intense. I knew it was like the remembrance and the activations of like all the gifts that my soul has ever accrued in this life, and being able to bring them into this lifetime, and and with it ascension and knowledge and wisdom, almost all the things that you think. Oh, look at this back.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
of course it is. Um, Almost all the things that you as humans we inherently always desire more, like more, give me more wisdom, more power, more
Yeah.
psychic abilities.
Yeah.
And yet the instant feeling I had was like, well, how much can I take? Like, how much can
Right.
I safely consume? And that was also part of the test. That's why everyone was also interested. It's like, well, how much is he going to take on as a being at this time?
Yeah.
um and then this thing just expanded and I flew into it, and the rest I don't consciously remember, but I it felt good, and it felt like there's this kind of conscious decision between my soul and I that there was there's always the right amount of upgrades to receive, or activations to receive, or wisdom to receive at any given time, and that was the start of maybe a series of upgrades that never ends. um
Hmm.
but I love that when I think about the work you're doing for others, like you're like you gifting these like it's like an accelerated ascension path to people is like just so incredible. um so yeah, I celebrate you, I honor you and
Yeah.
your
Oh,
incredible
thank you.
work.
Well, it's just they don't belong to me. They have their work to do. I'm just the hands that keep them going and connecting people. And the spirit keeps telling me that what you taught me was the possibilities. They keep telling me that that's what you unlocked in me is the possibilities. That
Oh,
to realize that there was just it's immense what we're doing, and that we are drawing upon this ancient knowledge, and then we're connecting it with galactic knowledge. And and I'm married into Native American tribes, so my children are half Native, so I have a lot of that. I do a lot of Native American seed bead work and other art, and I study their patterns and techniques and things like that that are being forgotten. And so I draw upon all of that. And, you were another part of that. And I had my ancestors, some of them came from Scotland. So, I just feel that connection all the way around. And I remember when I was doing something for you, I think I was doing one of the Destiny card readings and I was making notes and all this information was coming in and I grabbed this piece of paper, just a little scrap piece of paper, and it had a logo on it, but I didn't even look at it. I was just so busy, frantically writing all this down, and it had to do with Excalibur, and because my mother's maiden name is the same as a castle in Cumbria. And so I was looking at that, an aerial view of where that castle actually still is. It's in ruins, but it's still there. And then next to that, not like within a mile, was you know how you'll see from the sky, but you can't see it when you're on the ground, but it's like a big ring,
Yeah.
and they called it King
Mhm.
Arthur's table. And so that's right
Wow.
next. And so I'm writing all this down and I'm writing, and this is all has to do with you. And then I go to write down Excalibur sword at the top of this little piece of paper. And all of a sudden I looked at the logo on this piece of paper and it was from the Excalibur Hotel in Las Vegas, which I have never been to. And I don't know where that piece of paper even came from and why I even picked it up and
Or
wrote
there's
all
even a
these notes.
hotel.
Yeah, all of that just all came together. So I just feel such a connection to you, and who knows, there might be some past life connection or even bloodline connection. It's just been really fascinating, the people
Yeah.
that I've found through this journey, that we're actually related. So
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's so
it's been really
magical.
interesting. Yeah,
I and I'd love to talk. Like I call my light sword Excalibur, and
you do.
yeah, I
I
do.
didn't know
And
that.
the very
Wow.
first, so pre what I regard as my first big awakening, prior to that, so I was around 40 when that happened. When I was about 17, my
Mhm.
mother was trying. I think she was trying. She was starting to learn Reiki, which she stopped quite quickly, but she started it, and she
Mhm.
did this short session on me. And the first thing I saw was Source, and this big light came down through my head, and I was like, "This is incredible." And then the next thing I started seeing was like spirit, like people and faces. And the third thing I
Mhm.
saw was the sword and the stone. Um, and I saw this like labyrinth leading to it, like this kind of. It was so symbolic of the truth
Yeah.
that I would pull this sword out, and that I would learn the truth. Um, and the connections I've had, yeah, with King Arthur just can like perpetuate both through previous life memories and now, and also there's a place called the Scottish Camelot. There's a you can't find out much about it online, but there is a small newspaper article about it, and uh, it's just a ruined castle, but it's opposite another castle which I have very vivid past life memories of, and and it again had like a chamber where you could do things like activate the energetic grid in the area. You could
Mhm.
activate and deactivate your own gifts. It was certainly a very magical place, and um, I this morning as I was out for my morning run at about 5 a.m. I just had this download, which was, and this is a message for anyone watching, which is all the attempts to hide our truth, all
Mhm.
the history that's been, his story and has been written and
Yes.
rewritten by the winners and of battles and whatever. Like none of that is really relevant. We don't need to worry about whether the past as we know it is true or not,
Right.
because do know that our souls know fine well, and
Mhm.
our souls are bringing through within each of us our own truth. We're bringing it back into these lifetimes, into these human
Mhm.
forms, and and that it and that we also come together like we are just now. We come together
Mhm.
and we share our truths, and this is our truth. This is what is now written for our futures.
Mhm.
Um, just like, we might be a bit baffled about what we read online or what we look at in the past. Like we're literally creating our future history now.
We
And
are.
hello to future Johns.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it'll be
really.
like thousands of years in the future. That's amazing. You got YouTube to work. That's great.
That's right.
Um, or is it still running? I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love that because it feels very empowering and it feels like it makes me hungry for discovering the truth and discovering the connections with each other. And I love the fact that you were saying as well, like there's um, possibly, I mean, Scotland's not very big, right? But it's like 5.5 million people still after, for my entire life, it's been about the same size.
Hmm.
Um, so the chance of us being related by blood, it's not that impossible. And then
Right.
also metaphysically, our souls and our soul tribe lineage, and they're often like they interweave and interconnect, are also likely to be connected. And I love that. Like I love that process of discovery where you can just explore these things freely with each other. And yeah, definitely encourage people to do that too. When you feel a bit of a hunch, like, I won't tell them that because,
Yeah.
it sounds strange. Like, no, no,
Yeah,
dude,
right.
tell them because you get that, the Excalibur, it's my sword. Like, how did you know?
Yeah.
You get those
Yeah.
moments, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I had no idea any of that. And here, like sometimes when you're discovering something and you're writing so fast, you don't even know what you're writing. It's just you got to get it down because it's coming so fast and furious. And then to have written Excalibur right next to the logo that said Excalibur was like, okay, this means something. This is not just, where'd this come from? And you'll like the new video I'm doing about amethyst, which is the first one in the mythical crystals, because it talks about the amethyst that comes from Bodmin Moor. Are you familiar with that in
Mm.
Cornwall?
Yeah, yeah,
And the connection to using that energy to get connected with King Arthur and Excalibur. So that's part of this video. So it's interesting that this is all tying together.
yeah. I love that.
It's fascinating.
I have a small collection. Is there such thing? A small collection of crystals. I must admit, I really don't. Um, I'm not a very good crystal parent. Like I love them. They're there.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're so pretty, and sometimes I pick them up. But like, I'm sure they would love to do more. And yeah, I do feel guided to just at least treat them with the the care that they need, some sunshine and some
Yeah.
or
Well, and they
moonlight or
don't all,
whatever that they
sunshine's not good
need.
for all of them though.
Yeah.
Like it can fade some stones, it can cause some to crack. I go into depth. I have accumulated probably 200 different books on crystals, and I would go to used bookstores or thrift stores or whatever, and then get two copies. And then I've broken them all down so everything is alphabetical. And it has
Hmm.
all kinds of, and it tells how to cleanse all and recharge all different kinds of crystals. Some like moonlight, some like sunlight, some like water. I
Yeah.
know that for the most part, don't put your most any crystals in salt water because that will discolor them over time. The little bits of salt can get into those little fine cracks and cause your crystal to not look as pretty. So there's a lot of, it's not a one size fits all. Each crystal is kind of its own little being, but yeah, they're just so
Yeah.
much. And when I worked at the gem show, the part of the deal was that we did get paid some in cash, but we mostly got paid in crystals. So I have
I love
after
that.
7 years of working there, I got quite a collection.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Um, and I was interested if you have advice for people that are, um, perhaps they're going through their own awakenings because, and I use the word plurally, and that it feels like it never ends, or if they're maybe starting to discover some of their abilities for the first time, and what advice you give them to help them on their journeys.
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and a lot of people, how can I increase my intuition? How can I become more psychic? And to bring in the Jin Shin Jitsu part, when you put your hands in prayer position, there's so
Hmm.
much, this is all the organs, this is all the energy flows are right in the palms. So if you put your palms together, this can really help you increase your intuition. And to add, this is a little a little quickie. There's something we do in Jitsu called the main central vertical flow. So that goes all the way down the spine. And rather than go into
Hmm.
the long version of that, which is beneficial for anyone and everyone, but it does address a lot with the spine, but the spine connects to the organs and the nerves and everything is to that. But if you take this motion, then say you're wanting to, increase your intuition, and as you exhale, just pivot your palms down. You keep the heels of your hands together. And when you inhale, you bring
Yeah.
them back up, exhale, down, and then inhale, and then you bring them back up. And we don't take a breath, we receive a breath because it's a gift. So when you're feeling like I'm in lack, or I don't have enough, remember, just think of all the gifts you receive. You don't think about breathing, right? We just breathe. So
Yeah.
this is one way. Another way you can, and to if you think of in Jinshin Jitsu, if you're jumper cabling, it's like making an electrical connection. So you want to bring, like, if you're doing, this and you got one finger, that's just one. But if you can put all of them there, you're connecting all of that. So if you put both of
Hmm.
bring your fingertips here to the forehead. This is Safety Energy Lock 20, which is seeing as the creator sees. So if you're wanting to increase your intuition, your psychic ability, and what do we naturally do? I can't think. What is that? What was it that you
Yeah.
said? We do this, but we
Wow. Yeah.
forget. So this is a really good one for bringing that in. Um, Another one I've been teaching people a lot because we're going through so many changes now is you can either do it through holding your thumbs, and you can just hold it
Hmm.
simply, or you can get in there and detail it and feel where there's any tenderness because that's where the energy's stuck. So there's no
Hmm.
right or wrong way to do it. And this is not a pull the finger trick. It's not that joke. It's just, you're just harmonizing. So the
Yeah.
other one to do for safety energy lock one is at the inside of the knees. So you cross your hands and hold the inside of your knees, and you can do it with your palms, or you can get, in with your fingertips if you want. And you can
Yeah.
go just about like a third of the way up on the inside of the inner thigh if that's easier to reach. So this is safety energy lock one, which is prime mover. This gets everything going. If you have a headache, if you have nausea, if you're having a hard time dealing, we're going through all these changes on all levels. This is really a good way to help us deal with all those changes. And it's good for anything and everything. Mary Burmeister, mother of Jinshin Jitsu, would say you can do this for the rest of your jumper cable days. So if all you did was that it can really help with a lot of things to keep us kind of just keeping up with the changes that are going on. And
Wow.
I just to touch back to something else that I wanted to talk about real briefly with the correlation between tarot and the safety energy locks is I
Hmm.
realized that in our safety energy lock 19 is at the elbow, and then 17 and 18 are here at the wrist. And so if you look at the
Hmm.
tarot cards, that's the sun, the moon, and the stars. So we have the sun, the moon, and the stars in our hands and our arms. I
Oh
mean,
wow. Oh, I
that
love
just that just felt so powerful to me because that's our mediator, that our arms are what
Hmm.
mediate, it gets the energy, the cross energy between how it's really good for the brains to cross your arms across your body every now and then, whether you're knitting or if you're walking and you swing your arms as it crosses the body, that's really helpful. So
Wow.
yeah, that just blew my
That's
mind
beautiful.
when all of a sudden you make a connection and you go, oh my God, I got the sun, the moon, and the stars
Yeah.
in my
Can you
arms and my
believe it?
hands. This is
Yeah.
amazing. And we all do, not just me,
That's
we
wonderful.
all do. So,
Yeah.
and
Did you
another one
see
that I like, oh,
when you
sorry, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, when you did the first one, I
Hmm.
think it's changed a little bit since we were talking, but there was this line that's just appeared. It appeared on the video like this light just down my between my
Oh, look at
hands.
that.
Uh,
Wow, look at that. It's right in
I think
there.
it's yeah, it's changed a little bit. It's like it's not there. It's not there. It's like just right
It's
here,
right
just exactly
there.
where you said.
Wow. No mistakes. There are no
That's
mistakes.
right. No mistakes.
Um, and another thing that I like, I've been teaching people because, excuse me, people are under a lot of stress these days. I know it's like that here in the United States. I don't know about where you are,
Yeah.
but it's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. And it's a simple thing, and I call it the mummy, but that's just because
Hmm.
what do you think? Mummies do this, right? They've got their hands like this. So this is safety
Yeah.
energy lock 22, which is happy and content wherever I am. So if
Oh,
you're
that's beautiful.
feeling, yeah. And so, even if maybe you're dealing with a client who's really having a hard time calming down or getting centered, when you're working on them, you
Mm.
can have them do these things, and that helps them calm themselves, and it's also going to help your connection with them because, you're bringing
Yeah.
all that into, but it's just really, really helpful. So,
Wow, that's really cool.
yeah, it's an amazing art. And I live it, I breathe it every day. And I'm so
Yay.
thankful to Mary Burmeister for bringing it to us in the States. So it's an
Mhm.
incredible, incredible journey. And I want to play
Fabulous.
around. I have a lot of crystal wands, of different types, and I want to play around with. I'm not working with people in person right now because I can't get vaccinated and I can't get COVID because either one is going to do me in. So I have to do things remotely, but holding specific crystals to the different safety energy locks on the body and seeing
Mhm.
how that, might magnify that energy
Yeah,
flow. So
that's very cool.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
there's so many things, it's a lifelong study that you could just, there's so many avenues to go with it, but
yeah. Yeah, I love it. I like it reminds me of what really surprised me about reflexology was um and my guides pre-warned me. They said, John, like, when you're doing this, there's a reason, right? There's a whole reason why you're studying this. And I'm like, is it? I thought it was just like to do foot massage, make people feel better. It's
yeah,
like, no,
right.
no, no, there's more. And it's like, oh great, what's more? And then they're like, well, you're probably going to start to see more. And
Hmm.
that was the first thing that I noticed. I started seeing with my third eye. I could see like like their nervous system, their meridians, and then their chakras, which I was
Hmm.
used to seeing chakras, but not when I in a modality that I wasn't expecting it.
Hmm.
Um, and then and then what came next was even more vivid, was just receiving people's it's I understand it like I'm receiving their energy, but it's like it's whole stories, right? I get like the visual. So if, for instance, if they've got stress and like maybe they've got stress in their brain, as I'm
Hmm.
working over that area of their foot, it the the thing that I'm meant to see is shared very vividly.
Right.
People talking, who they're talking with, what their energy feels like when they're doing it, the effect
Hmm.
that it's having on their body, um, and when it is in a rough time frame, and I all while I'm trying to concentrate, right? It's like
You're right,
I'm still
right.
learning, like do this, and and then trying to remember this because I'm not saying it out loud, which I'm very used to, just like putting my hands up and saying I can see,
Yeah,
through
yeah.
my crystal ball. Like you can just tell them as you go. To try and remember at the end. So, but oh yeah, there was this and that, and um, I I feel that it is so exciting, and I feel that for you. Like I feel like with your work that you've got this great opportunity to, as you were saying with tarot and so much more. Like there's so many dimensions of the
Yeah.
things. Nothing by mistake, nothing by accident. You learn all these things as this toolkit that you're gradually bringing together, and re-remembering how to do them in this density, in this planet, in this
Right,
lifetime with
right.
humans.
Yeah. And humans who don't necessarily want to hear it, you know what I mean? How do you
Yeah.
and that was something that I learned from Mary Burmeister also was, say you're in a room with a bunch of angry people. You can hold your middle finger and you can harmonize the energy of the whole room. You
Mhm.
can harmonize their anger. And
Wow.
it's just amazing how there's so much that you can do with this. And it's
Yeah.
about intention, and it's never done to the detriment of anyone. It's always for the best
Mhm.
and highest good. And I remember when I got the first certificate after I took my first 5-day class, and on the certificate it said, the art of getting to know myself. And I was so, at that time, this was in the
Wow.
early 2000s, and I was so self-conscious and had such a bad self-image. I was embarrassed to put that on a wall. I didn't want anyone thinking I was, oh,
Oh.
they're going to think I'm weird because I'm getting to know myself. And like it took me 2 years of doing YouTube and only showing my hands with skeleton gloves on, just to do something different. I just recently, like within, what was it, May 19th is when that was the 2 year anniversary of my channel.
Congratulations.
And I showed, so, ripped off the mask and nobody's computer busted or, broke any screen. So I guess we're okay. But it was past life stuff and, comes from a lot of,
Well done.
thanks. I feel much better now, but boy, it was a struggle. It
It's
was a
tough, right?
struggle.
Do it scared, right? Do it while it feels scary and be
Yeah.
brave. And it's so hard. And
Yeah.
yet, the more of us that do it and share that it's hard, right? And share that it was a tough
Yeah.
journey coming online and stand up and saying, yes, I
Yeah.
used to be a witch. In fact, a lot. And I still do a lot of witchy stuff now. In fact, I'm
Yeah.
comfortable with being identified as a witch. It's like
Yeah.
those things that were traumatic in our past
Yeah.
lives. Many of us
Yeah.
are uh, like leading by example. So congratulations to you. Like it's so powerful. And like those resonance waves you're talking about, right? Like it's like the butterfly effect. The
Yeah.
one person doing it has a huge effect.
Yeah. It,
And
it,
you touched on that as well. I wanted to, before we finish, I also just wanted to reflect on um, the power of one
mhm.
of each of us is that um, I it took me quite some time to realize how powerful one person can be. Like how that our history teaches
Yeah.
us, even our modern history teaches us that one person can have a massive effect. And
Yeah.
yet sometimes when we're in like you could call it like as a lone wolf or like our heroes or heroines journey, or like we're all by ourselves.
Hmm.
Like I was, at least for my first 900 days of meditation, I was like, I am all by myself in this universe, and that's it. It's just me and my guides, and that's it. And
Yeah.
and to encourage everyone to, as you follow your path and follow your guidance, to just remove all those self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Some recent examples I had was um, I'm doing it like a mini series with a friend. We've just started doing it where we're doing grid work.
Hmm.
So energetic work for like our home. So I'm doing it for their house, they're doing it for mine, and then we're doing it for each other's towns. And then we're going to compare them. We're going to do it live together. So we're doing like
Hmm.
separate, then we're doing it live together, and then
Hmm.
we're going to visit each other's places physically and do it. And
Oh,
they're quite vast areas. They're at least 30 miles radius. And and you think, but it's just me. It's me. Like,
yeah.
how can I affect such a huge area like that? For me, that would be like the city of Edinburgh. Okay, it's not that huge a city, but it is when you live in Scotland.
Yeah.
Um, and and you think, how can I affect it? It's like
Yeah.
because no one else is doing it, right? No, in the absence of energy, in the void of the frequency void of your area or in space, uh, anywhere in the universe. Like if you're the only force that's acting, you have a dramatic effect.
Yeah.
And even if there are other forces, but they're chaotic and they lack intention and focus, again, you have a huge dramatic effect.
Yeah.
And then all the other rules of the universe apply, like your
Hmm.
free will, your ability to um, co-create, and I think when you realize even just a little bit how powerful each of us are individually,
Hmm.
that it also brings this beautiful sense of responsibility and ownership for the planet. You realize it it is really up to us, to each of us individually. We really can, and we really are changing this world.
Yeah. And we are the change we need. We're here now for a reason. And before the pandemic hit, I was spent a lot of time doing genealogy, and I found out that I didn't know I was descended from five Mayflower passengers. Then I found out that
Wow.
my ancestors settled Salem. And out of the 82 or so people that were involved in the witch trials, whether they were the magistrates, the accusers, or the accused, I'm related to 17 or 18 out of those 82.
Wow,
So
that's incredible. Just as you were saying that, this big breeze, I've got a fan above me. This big cold breeze was coming down. It's like, yes, yes, yes.
wow, I get chills.
That is incredible.
Well, so when you think about these things, you fantasize when you're a kid. Oh well, and then when you find out, and I even found like the plots of land where they lived. It wasn't just this isn't just
Wow.
I'm pulling this out of somewhere. It's really been amazing. And then I met a woman through doing sessions with her. I think I was doing a psychic reading for her, and she was a professional genealogist, and she and I are related, and we are descended from John Rogers, who was a martyr who was literally burned at the stake. He had a lot to do with Bible translations and things, and he was so defiant that he was like washing his hands in the flames, and
Wow.
it's that's part of my DNA. I don't
Yeah.
I don't hang on to that as, oh, now I'm cursed, or I don't look at it that way. I look at now it helps me with my own understanding of my own journey and why I feel the way I do about
Yeah.
some things.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
because I
that's
guess maybe you
incredible.
can tell I'm
And
pretty
I
passionate about what I'm doing. So
yeah. And I really want to honor, our ancestors. Like they put up, they were paving the way. Like,
exactly.
yes, things like world wars were like hugely important in our history, but these were because I know these wars went on for against, kind of witchcraft, but then also, Druidism. And I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't it's not just limited in the Western world, right? It's like everywhere around the world. It's like this
Right.
kind of battle for magic, if you like. And the, the reality is that all those hardships, and I feel like a lot of us knew then exactly what we were doing,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't to build up, a whole load of hate for a future generation to come back and
No, not at all.
revenge, or but it was more that um, it was this it was incredibly empowering to see how people suffered, and doing like what we're doing now, right? Like that's what would have happened to us if, YouTube was up and running back in those times. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, that video. um and here we are now honoring them and saying, thank you so much for all the hardships you went through, because you speaking your truth, or just doing your truth, and just
Right.
living and existing day to day, allowed us to come back. Many of us are those same souls in different carnations, and others are, we're descendants or inspired by. And it's so powerful to know that our ancestors have been fighting this battle to pave the way to allow us to step into our power on
Mhm.
their behalf. And every time we do so, we're healing that. We're like you're saying, like we're one of them, washing our hands in the flames, or smiling
Right.
back through the torture, and saying, we know exactly what's happening next. And this universe has a great way of leveling the playing
Yeah.
field and balancing darkness and light. And you can't hide this truth. Like the world needs to know.
Yeah, I remember doing a meditation a couple of years ago about, just that you talk about balancing light and dark. And in Jin Jitsu, we focus on harmony rather than balance because it's not always 50-50. And I was asking,
Mm,
just how much darkness do we need to have? Like I know there needs to be some, and they showed me a blank coloring book page where all you have is the outline. If you just have a blank page, there's so much light, there's no definition, you don't know where the edges are or anything, the definition of the thing. All you need is that darkness just to make that outline. Doesn't,
yeah,
so that can be a balance. You know what I'm saying? That
yeah, yeah,
it can be. So it doesn't have to be that tension of always, well, it has to be 50-50. I think there's new
yeah,
ways to think about how to manage light and dark. And and sometimes I have my dark moments. Yesterday was one of them. Internet frustrations is a good one to bang your head against the
yeah,
wall over. Uh, but you just then so when I run into things like that and I'm feeling that way that day, okay, that's a day to do something. Just relax and just like your video was about, just rest and receive. Just
yeah,
allow that and don't fight against it. Maybe when you're banging your head against the wall over and over again, okay, well, maybe this isn't the day to try to accomplish that to-do list of 1,000 things. um
yeah,
and
absolutely.
what I learned in Jinshin Jitsu, say you're having one of those days, and and you're walking, okay, and nothing's going right. So stop where you are and receive like 3 or 4 inhales and exhales, and then step out first with your left foot. And that breaks that cycle. That's a reset. So you can help
Oh, that's really
turn
cool.
that, when you're frustrated, you can turn that around. So
Yeah.
uh, I
Yeah,
just love
I love
incorporating
that.
these little things.
Today I came down here to to Belhaven Beach. Um it's also John Muir Country Park just behind me.
Hmm.
Country Park, well, it's the name of it, but it's also the beach that's behind me. It's really beautiful. And I came here and I was like, doing just that because my guide just saying you've got to rest to receive.
Right.
And it's really funny because it's certainly not part of our Western culture to book in time in our calendars and go, yeah, it's receiving time,
Right.
And I
When we do, a
and so
lot of
when I
us don't
came
think we're
here,
worthy of receiving anything either. We always
yeah,
have to get,
that's right.
and that's, you're not,
That you somehow have
that's
to
not
push
honoring
to
that
that you
cycle
have
of
to give.
gratitude. Hmm.
That's right. You have to give to be able to receive something. And so I came here and I kind of got the van set up, took the dog for a walk, lay down, had a quick nap. I woke up and I had a client booking for my higher self foundational training course, and I'm like, woohoo! And it's like, and my guy's like, yeah, John, it's like receive, like you're literally resting and you're receiving, and you're allowing yourself because I was very intentional, like there's no specific time for how long
Hmm.
I'll receive. There's not an intention about what or when I'll receive, and it might even just be the magic of the rest itself. Like that's more than enough
Right.
to receive.
Right.
Um, and it really made me reflect, helped me realize that, well, maybe I should have like a little, you know, ritual in my calendar that says these are the things I do when I'm receiving. Because if I want to receive more clients in my business, then I need to have the space and capacity. The universe will not give me them while I'm running around,
Yeah.
all fired up on caffeine
Yeah.
and pushing to try and receive it. Like you were saying, like taking those breaths, you have to receive them.
Yeah. And Mary Burmeister would talk about we're not human doings, we're human beings, you know,
Yeah,
just be. And she wouldn't say, don't tell somebody just smile, be the smile. When you're
yeah,
wanting someone to relax, you tell them be the dropping of the shoulders, not just drop your shoulders, be that dropping of the shoulders. And it really magnifies when you add that be part to it.
uh,
Really has shifted it for me. So, and I have an interesting story. This happened right around Christmas time about how we can manifest things, or whatever you want to call that. But a friend of mine
mm,
that lives in another city sent me like a goodie box of all these different packages, small packages for Christmas. And so I'm by myself, I don't get anything, so I save it, right? So it's been sitting here and for like 3 weeks in a place where I walk by it several times a day. There was all these little packages. And I said, no, I'm waiting for that for Christmas morning. I'll open it on Christmas. Well, Christmas morning came and I got so busy, I totally forgot about that I even had these things to open. I was just off on I go down rabbit holes. I'm the typical artist,
yeah.
Oh, I'll be down here. See you guys in 3 weeks. And I went to go take a nap, and it was cold here. It's opposite of the southern hemisphere. It's cold here, so I was thinking, man, you know what? I need to make one of those like a Mobius. It's if you take a circle and you twist it once, and it's a scarf that you put on. And I was thinking,
Mm.
I need just if I could just keep my neck warm, I don't need to turn the heat up. If I keep my neck warm, I'll be good. And I said, you know what I'd like to
Yeah.
do? I have fun fur, like fake fur fabric. That's what I'll make it out of. And I went and I took a nap. I got up and then I went, oh, I got gifts to open. I opened them. Do you know what one of them was? A fun fur Mobius for my neck.
Wow.
I mean, it, like spirit deprived, yeah, spirit brought it before I even knew I wanted it. So it was such a cool thing. So if you open to magic and you open to these possibilities, like I said, you open to to these possibilities with what your healing did to me the first time. And it just don't disregard it. Like you say, if you feel that little breeze or that little shine of light at the right time, that's how you get the messages. They don't have to be bonked on the head, McFly, wake up, McFly. It
That's right.
can
Yeah.
just be something really subtle, but it can be so profound that way.
Uh,
Um,
oh wow. That is such a cool story. And yeah, being open to receiving it, that's so fantastic. Um, well, I don't want to keep you on too long, and I would really love to catch up again. It would be really cool
Yeah,
to catch up in a
twist
month
my
or two.
arm.
And yeah, absolutely. Um, how can, if you want, people to check out your YouTube, your socials, do you offer the your mandalas to other people?
I'm working on that. Trying to figure out whether to do eBay or Etsy is taking a lot of fees now, or how I might even do like a trunk show Zoom kind of thing. You know, if people wanted to
Yeah.
come, they would have a Zoom link, and then that way. I have a lot of crystals. I make crystal jewelry. I make it specific,
Oh,
like
lovely.
certain numbers of stones for different things or types of stones. My
Mhm.
email is junosees, JUNOSEES @gmail.com. I have a YouTube channel which is Junosphere 3333, and I have a whole playlist of mudras on there. I have a whole right now I've been doing mindless minutes or mindless moments. Once a day I post two videos, one in a like so you can see it in a short version to watch it on a cell phone, and then I do a little longer one more for a TV screen or computer screen. And they're just uplifting. There might be kaleidoscopes. Like today it was ladybugs dancing to the limbo rock, you know, uplifting,
Oh,
fun
cool.
little mindless moments just to kind of get us out of all
Yeah,
the things we're worried about. It's not a meditation, it's not about it's, songs from our past, things that good memories.
yeah.
I do tarot cards, oracle cards, destiny cards, which is done with a regular deck of cards. I do Akashic readings, past life readings, dream interpretation, crystals, that kind of thing. So
Wow.
there's so many wonderful friends through YouTube
That's a
that help
lot.
us learn all these, like how to make this machine work. So I'm learning how to
Yeah,
do lives, and I want to do some interactive uh things like a lot of people who have crystals but don't know what they mean, like what does this little triangular shape on it mean, or why are these little ridges here or there. So I want to help
yeah.
people get to know the crystals that they do have, so that's something that I'm working on.
That's
So yeah, and,
fabulous.
and I also do healing sessions. I do Reiki and Jin Shinjitsu and teach you how to help yourself. So that's
Oh,
my focus.
amazing.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I'm going to book you in. Oh, that'd be so cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'll get those. I think I have some of the links already, but I'll get them from you and put them in the link in the video and in the description. But yeah, just to
And
say a
watch for
thank you
my new
so much.
series on the crystal
Oh yeah.
series on the mythology. And I was going to call it Crystal Myths, but that's too much like a drug thing. And I went, no. So it's going to be Mythical Crystal.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me. So that should
Yeah.
might be out within the next couple days, and I'm excited about that series. I'm hoping to post maybe one a week or one every 2 weeks. They're pretty labor intensive to create, but
Mhm.
they're I was just been fascinated what I've learned, and that was just about amethyst. So I hope you guys will
Oh wow.
tune in for those. They're a lot of fun. And I
Yeah,
love
looking
hearing
forward to that.
feedback if people have questions. And I also do Jin Shin Jitsu for animals. So if people have questions with their
Oh,
pets,
lovely.
where do I put my
Yeah.
hands to help my pets with things? I also can help
Mhm.
with that. So
Oh, that's a
I'm just,
lovely idea.
I'm here to be of service. Can I ask you one question?
Of course you can. Yes.
Uh, so I wrote this down. I had a long talk, with Spirit over the last couple of weeks. What's the question for John? I don't know what to ask him. And it was, if you could sit down and have dinner, or just interact with an ascended master, who would it be, and what would you want to ask them?
Wow. Um, I it's really interesting, right? So there's two answers. One is my immediate reaction was Jesus, but in part it's because I don't really know that many ascended masters, and whilst I've met Jesus in a couple of sessions, like intentionally, I've like sought out in meditation to speak with him. I feel like it would be a fascinating dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and I think also just because I probably still got some more healing to do with religion, with
Yeah,
the probably a good term is living in harmony with religion. Like I'm
right.
come a long way, But I know from
Yeah.
past lives that I was in and out, and when I was out, I was in like revenge mode, and when I was
Yeah.
in, I was like a disruptor and a rebel, and I was doing what I was doing today, but I was like causing a lot of chaos and problems for myself.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think that was like my immediate answer. But the other ascended master, whether you'd consider him one, Alan Watts, came forwards in a client session recently, and it was because my client was a big fan, and
And I don't know who that
they
is.
oh so yeah, I can send on a link. I would describe him as uh, a almost like a man who toured the world studying different religions and
Oh,
experiencing them, and describes in very Western terms his beliefs of the universe. And yeah, his journey is just fascinating, and there's quite a lot of his work um, uh, on YouTube. And so yeah, I can send it on. But I found and I can't quite remember what he said to me in the session. But what was really lovely was it reminded me that you can like do this, right? That it's real. You can like,
yeah.
and I don't think they need to be dead. Like you can do it
Yeah,
with
I agree.
anyone, but you can call people in. They just need their soul just needs to give permission. But you can call them into these activities you're doing, and just like I did with Jesus, like come and have a chat, come and have that ask questions, and get and feel into the answers. Um, and you practice it, and you'll probably start to feel the difference in their energy.
Mhm.
It'll it should feel to you like that energy of when you're consuming their content on YouTube, or you met them in person, or like
Right.
you'll know when you connect, because it feels like them.
Yeah.
um and yeah, I think that was really fascinating. It was an honor to have what was a celebrity for both of my client and I in the session. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we going to say? What do we ask?
Yeah,
And we are
right.
laughing at his responses, and it's like, well, it's definitely, he was a great sense of humor, and when we're busy complicating everything as we often do, he was like
Yeah,
making things
right.
really simple. Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I get it, I get it. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting to find out who, who we connect to different ways. But thank you for answering that. And I don't know if you have time now, and I don't know if this would be part of the show, but something I wanted to share with you that happened to me just within the last week, which was really profound. And if that's the other video that I sent where I talk about the Native American part, and you see that
Hmm.
flag right there, that
Yeah.
is it's the oldest Native American flag in existence, and it's called Hiawatha's
Wow.
flag. And there's the Song of Hiawatha, which was a poem by Longfellow, and that's not the real person. That's a different tribe, and that he kind of made that up. It's a beautiful poem,
Hmm.
but Hiawatha was actually involved with the Iroquois tribe, and that's the tribe that my children are part of. And so I had done all this research about Hiawatha, and I talk about it in that video with Heart and Soul Connected, Allie Martin. And after I had done all, like I was just getting all these downloads and I'm learning all this information. And he was the spokesman for the great peacemaker who had a speech
Hmm.
impediment and was not able to speak what he wanted to share. So he found Hiawatha, and Hiawatha had that role. So it, like just blew
Oh
my
wow.
mind. I was thinking, for one thing, like most people, I thought Hiawatha was a woman. I didn't know it was a man. Like I learned all these things, and then to think my children are part of this, lineage, and it was really a huge honor.
Wow.
And so I went to down the hall. I was going to take a shower, and as I was walking down the hall, and it's very narrow because I have all my art supplies. If you give me an envelope, I got to sleep standing up in the shower, because there's no room to
Yeah.
put anything in here. And I said, I wonder if Hiawatha is one of my guides or would work with me. And this energy dropped down out of the ceiling and came at me and just entered me. And I fell against, all I could do was do this. And I was
Yeah.
crying and just leaning against the wall. It was just not in a
Oh,
bad way. It was just like, wow. and I had had somebody, I deal with PTSD and had somebody really trigger it like an hour before, and that sets off this whole series of physical emotion, feelings. You can't just stop
Oh
it,
wow.
right? When
Yeah, yeah.
Hiawatha came in, my whole body just went calm. I didn't have any more PTSD. And so I took my shower and I came out and I was online looking up to see uh, like any videos I could find about Hiawatha or whatever. And about 4 videos down, this is probably before your time, but there was a show back in the 70s called Alice, and it was set in a restaurant. And there was a waitress in this restaurant named Flo. This was Flo reciting the Song of Hiawatha. My mother's name was Flo.
Wow. Wow.
you
That's
know,
phenomenal.
just so when you see all these little obscure, yeah, the things that what, so I went,
Yeah.
okay. And I had a situation like just a couple days ago with the same, I have neighbors who really trigger me. And I was PTSDing again, and I called in Hiawatha again, totally just wiped it right out of me. So when you
Wow.
find whoever that is for you, don't, I'm just saying this to everybody, not just to you, just,
Yeah.
be open to the possibilities that these beings are out there and they want to help us if we just ask.
Just
So
ask. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they're literally powerless until you ask. And
exactly. And then they're like, we've
I
been waiting and waiting for you.
so I thank. I'm so happy you finally asked.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a free will universe for a reason. And
Yeah.
yeah, it is so important to ask.
And don't
But
fall into that
that's
you're not
incredible.
worthy, because I was there. I never thought I was
Yeah.
worthy of any of this. And this is
Yeah.
this is not me. This is not my ego or anything. It's just spirit coming through me, and I want to know how I can be of the best service to help others. That's my goal.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, likewise.
yeah, it's a
Well,
beautiful
thank you
place to
so
be.
much. It's been such an honor to connect with you, and it's just
Oh, same
um,
here.
at every level. I love speaking to you and finding out such incredible depth in your journey and your wisdom and your trajectory, like where your journey is heading, is just so exciting. And yeah, thank you for your service. We need you. We need you.
Well,
Um,
and I did what you said. I did it right back to you. We're all mirrors of each other, and
yeah.
it's an amazing world out there. Focus, stay positive, let go of the stress. And another thing for tears and fears, hold your index finger. So if you're feeling fearful or anything, just grab on that index finger. For if you're sad and a lot of crying, good for tears and fears. So
Oh, fantastic. Oh,
so much we can
just
do.
lower it below the video, and people below the camera, they can't see that you're doing it as you do your first live stream or your first recording or
My
photo
first
or whatever you
international
do.
for sure.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I love that.
It's such an honor to spend time with you, John. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I'd
No,
love to do
my
this again.
pleasure.
And then when I get up to speed where I know how to make all the little bells and whistles work, I'd love to have you come and join me if you'd like.
Yeah,
So that would be great.
yeah, I would love that too. That'd be super
And if you
fun.
ever come to the States and I'd love it. If you came to the gem show, if you could come down to Tucson late January, early February, I'll be your personal guide. And uh, if you're ever into that kind of thing. So it's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
awesome.
I would love to. I'll definitely add you to my list. And
Sounds great.
I truly believe I'll make it to everyone that's in my list in my lifetime, and in theirs and in yours.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Um,
Me too. I love it.
oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And you got me doing this now all the time.
Yeah, see?
And I hope you have a beautiful rest of week. Yeah, and look forward to meeting you again soon. Take
Well,
care.
I think I'm going to have a smile on my face for the next week just from having this opportunity to be in your
Yay.
energy, John. Just think the world of you.
Oh,
And thank you for what you do for all of us. You give a lot of us hope and encouragement and validation. And, I have no words. I'm beyond words for how much I appreciate and love you and just so grateful.
oh, that's so kind. Thank you so much. And sending my love to you too. Appreciate you.
Oh, I know one little thing I got to ask you. How do you say I love you in Scottish?
Uh, well, I don't know any Gaelic. I guess that would be like the truly native um uh,
Well, that's your
Scottish language,
assignment.
but okay, I'll find out.
Find out and let me know.
I will too. I'll have to figure out how to say it as well. That'd be good fun.
Yeah, that's always the challenge.
Brilliant. Well, thank you and take care. Sending
Okay,
love
you
from
too,
Scotland.
John. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye. Love you.